Zamindari system flourished in the Mughal Empire, although it has developed through centuries of various experiments. It has been stated that there is no Pargana in the Mughal Empire where there is no Zamindar. But we find that there are certain villages ruled by the panchayats where there is no Zamindar, although there is some official who is the headman of the village or muqaddam. The differences between the Zamindars, not only between different types of Zamindars, but also within the Zamindari system, the officials, could be seen in the Mughal Empire very clearly due to the evolution of this system. The debate that came in 1793 when the English tried to introduce the permanent settlement was actually started by mid-17th century French traveller François Bernier. Bernier stated that the king is the owner of all land. This statement has been accepted by most of the travelers who came after Bernier. When we come to the period before 1793, we find that there is a considerable dispute between the English officials and their Indian officials as well. For example, Philip Francis, he held the view that Zamindar is the Malik, that is the owner of the land. Warren Hastings and Richard Burwell, they more or less agreed with this statement. But the Indian officials did not, at least most of them did not. For example, Shitab Rai, who is the Naib Dewan of Bihar, he stated that Zamindar is the Malik of the land, it is true, but king is the owner of the revenue. Another contemporary Indian officials, Ram Chaudhuri, who was a Kanungo, he said that Zamindar and the king were the joint owners of the land. Raja Rajaballabh, who played a leading role at one point of time and who was ruling Bihar on behalf of the Nawab, he said that the king is the owner of all land. Slightly later, in the late 18th century, Reza Khan, who was the Naib of the English in Bengal, stated that king is not the owner of all land. So therefore there are various kinds of opinion prevalent among the contemporary Indian officials on the Malikana or the proprietary right of the Zamindar. W.H. Morland, the English historian, who was also a land revenue official of the English company, stated that there were semi-independent Zamindars during the Mughal period and they were very powerful. In the recent days, Paramatma Saran, a noted Indian historian who had written Provincial Government of the Mughals, he said that Zamindars are not found in all parts of the Mughal Empire and they were not also that much of powerful. Saran has a problem. The problem was that he has used the faulty translation of Abul Fazl's Aini-Akbari by Blockman, and therefore he came to the false conclusion. But if we look at the Zamindars under the Mughals, we see two contradictory features.
First, the Zamindar wants the protection of the king, but he does not want to obey his diktat. Second, the king wants the revenue raised by the Zamindar, but he does not want to give freedom to the Zamindar.
And throughout the Mughal period, we see that these two tendencies continued to work as before. Now, in the Zamindari system, therefore, there was cooperation and struggle, cooperation and conflict very clearly seen. Now, regarding the Malikana of the Zamindar, there is a considerable dispute. As I have said, the Indian officials, they were not very sure about this. The English, for their own justification of the permanent settlement which was introduced in Bengal, considered the Zamindars as the owner of land. Now, after making this kind of formulation, the English changed the land revenue system. The Mughal system was that they would take the revenue from the harvest, a portion of the harvest, which we would see a bit later. While the English company after 1793 began to take land revenue from the land irrespective of the harvest. So from the English point of view, the term land revenue is perfectly all right. But from the Mughal point of view, the term land revenue is not a very correct one, because the revenue is not from land. It is from the harvest. And that also depends very much on the kind of crop that is coming up. If there is a commercial crop, the rate is higher. If there is no crop, there is no revenue. So therefore, the two systems are different.
The British rulers considered the Zamindars as owners of the land, the Malik. Therefore, the land revenue was imposed irrespective of the utilization of the land. The onus of collecting the revenue was on the Zamindars.
But leaving that apart, there were different documents which we have of the early of the early Mughal period or late Mughal period. If we start from the late one, the mid 17th century, last Dewan of Gujarat, he wrote a book called Mirat-e-Ahmadi. His name was Ali Muhammad Khan. Now, Ali Muhammad Khan stated that the Mughal revenue, or during the Mughal period, the revenue was divided into two. One is called Banth, B-A-N-T-H, which is taken by the Zamindar. The other is called Talpad, T-A-L-P-A-D, which is taken by the state or the central government. We find more or less the same in another document of the early days. The Subadar of Gujarat, Khan-e-Azam, in the late 16th century, gave certain orders regarding the collection of revenue.
There are three main points in the order of Khani Azam, the Subedar of Gujarat. 1. 1/4 of the land should be reserved for the aboriginal people and no revenue should be taken from them. 2. The Zamindar should not collect more than 50% of the total harvest as revenue. 3. There is no restriction on the Zamindars for the sale or purchase of land.
In other words, it means that if the revenue is paid, then the Zamindar can do almost anything. Now, this kind of the document that we have of Khani Azam giving far more latitude to the Zamindars perhaps was prevalent all over the Mughal Empire. Unfortunately, we do not have any such corroborative evidences from other provinces. There were three types of Zamindars. The first one is the very big Zamindars, almost called the Rajas. In Persian, these were called Zamindaran-e-Umda, UMDA. The second one is a middle level Zamindar, neither big nor very small. The third one is the primary Zamindar. There is a problem of abstraction here. The problem is that these types are not exclusive to each other. In other words, in a big Zamindari, there may be small Zamindars. Almost certainly there are small Zamindars. And there are also primary Zamindars. But the big Zamindar is himself a primary Zamindar in a certain area. So therefore these types, although classified separately, these types overlap each other and one has to see very clearly what kind of Zamindar the person is. Now, if we take first the big Zamindars, we see that all the Zamindars are not the same kind. Abul Fazl, in talking about the big Zamindar, said that there were two types of big Zamindars. One is the Zamindar of the territory, for example, the Raja of Jammu and Kangra. And the second type was the Zamindar of the tribe, very big Zamindar, like the Raja of Baluch. And he calls the second one, the Zamindar of the tribe, as Alus, L-U-S. Now the difference between the two, although Abul Fazl classified it separately, is very small. It is true that the Zamindar of the tribe has his strength mainly based on the strength of the tribe. But in the first, the Zamindar of the territory, the Zamindar is also the leader of his tribe, which is perhaps the dominant tribe, but there are other racial groups involved. So therefore, the internal politics of these two are different. In case of a tribal one, it was a simple matter. In case of the territory, that is a difficult matter. Now, these big Zamindars were asked by the central government to send tribute, which is called Peshkash, P-E-S-H-K-S-H, Peshkash. Now there are two types of Peshkash. One is that some Zamindars are asked to pay tribute or Peshkash, and they are also asked to give military help. And the second one is those who only pay Peshkash and no military help was asked from them. So they are called Peshkashi Zamindar.
Both types of Zamindars paid tribute, but we do not know the basis on which tribute was paid by those Zamindars who provided military help. We get some information from Aini Akbari about the payment made by the second type of Zamindars.
The second type of Peshkashi Zamindar, that is those who pay tribute only, perhaps they pay on the basis of their own revenue. Because we find that Abul Fazal had given the list of their revenue in his Aini Akbari. Now the big Zamindars are very, very powerful. That has been acknowledged by the central government. Babur in his Baburnama stated that these big Zamindars are very powerful. They control 1/6 of the entire land. They have plenty of elephants, he has given the number, the guns, soldiers, etc. And he said, the only advantage for us is that they are not united. So it is easy to defeat them. Now the Peshkashi Zamindar, like all other Zamindars, tried to remain independent while the Mughal government tries to convert them as revenue paying Zamindar, or in Persian term, Mal Guzari Zamindar. Mal is the revenue. So Mal Guzari Zamindar or revenue paying Zamindar. So there is always a kind of a tussle going on. How frequently the tribute is paid is not known. Generally, whenever the emperor goes near the Zamindari or his representative comes near to that place, the Zamindars then personally come and pay their respects and their revenue as well, which is called Peshkash or tribute. On this there had been problems also. For example, in case of Bengal in 1610, Protapaditya of Jessore, a very big Zamindar, perhaps the leading Zamindar of Bengal then, was called Jor Talab Zamindar, that is rebel Zamindar, because he did not personally come to see the Subadar. So therefore there are all sorts of rules and regulations, etiquettes concerning the Mughals and the Zamindar. Now, apart from these Peshkashi Zamindar, there were certain other areas where the Zamindar pays the revenue, and as I have said, these are called the Mal Guzari Zamindar. Akbar in 1592-93 issued a farman, an order, stating that all Zamindars under the Mughals either should attend the court or send his son or a representative of his tribe as a sort of Zamin, the security. Abul Fazl said in 1595-96 that there were 27 such Zamins from Lahore alone. Now, to control these Zamindars, this was one of the measures. And this led to trouble between the Zamindars and the Mughals. For example, Rana Pratap of Chittor did not want to attend, neither he wanted his son to attend. So as we know, Akbar invaded Chittor, Pratap left for the hills, but during the time of Jahangir, he exempted the Chittor Raja from sending the Zamin, and the problem was solved. So therefore, this kind of attendance created a problem at one point of time. It is generally believed that in the later years, this rule was not strictly followed. But then we don't know about this very clearly. Another way to control the big Zamindars, which was taken by Akbar, was the marriage between the emperor and the daughter of the big Hindu Zamindar. The first such marriage was in 1563 when Akbar married the daughter of Raja Bihari Mal of Ambar, that is Jaipur. And it is stated by later historians that the rise of the Ambar family was due to this marriage. Now, if we look at Abul Fazl's list, which has been given, it has been seen that in 1595-96 there were 61 Zamindar Mansabdars. Out of this 61, 40 came from Jaipur Ajmer area. Out of this 40, 27 came from the Kachwa family of Ambar. So therefore it is claimed that the rise of the Ambar family in the Mughal administrative system, Raja Man Singh became Subadar and so on and so forth, this was due to this factor. But now in the recent researches it has been seen that this statement is not correct. There are certain other Rajputs who has given their daughters and had gone up, but there were also certain other Rajput, Zamindars or Rajas, who had not given their daughters in marriage, they had also gone up in the Mughal administrative system. So therefore, this question, this statement by the later historians, particularly late 19th and early 20th century, this cannot be accepted. In this connection, I may mention the problem of Jodhabai. In 1873, in the Journal of the Asiatic Society, Calcutta, Beveridge wrote that it is the daughter of Bihari Mal was called Jodhabai, etc., etc. And he was considered the mother of Jahangir. Since then, the controversy has started, rather snowballed into great discussion. But the recent view of the historians is that first of all the name of the daughter of the Raja Bihari Mal is not known. Jahangir never mentioned the name of his mother. Thirdly, any Hindu daughter coming into the Mughal family is given a royal title, and the daughter of Bihari Mal was also given a royal title, and she has issued certain firmans, which normally they do, or almost all the queens do. These firmans have been found, but no name was given. Actually, it appears that Jahangir has married the daughter of the Raja of Jodhpur, who was called Jodhabai. So therefore, this connection between the daughter of Raja Bihari Mal of Amber, Akbar and Salim is very tenuous, to say the least. Now the big Zamindars, therefore, always tried to increase their powers and their lands. In late 18th century, Raja Jai Singh of Amber could enlarge the territory of his Zamindari by grabbing the lands of others. This was resented in the Mughal court by other Mansabdars, and pressure was given to the emperor to stop it, which he tried to do with the Marathas, but that is a different story. Apart from these very big Zamindars, there are the middle level Zamindars. As I have said earlier, that all the big Zamindaris had small Zamindars, but to see these in detail, we would see those small and primary Zamindars and other related questions in the next lecture.
In conclusion, one can say that the Mughal emperors constantly tried to control the Zamindars. There were serious contradictions in the relationship between the Zamindars and the Mughal emperors. The Mughals taxed the crop and not the land, but the British taxed the land. The Zamindars, however, were the backbone of the Mughal Empire.